So today, I'm going to show you exactly how to ace the new LSAT writing sample, which is the argumentative writing sample, if you're taking the LSAT in 2026 or beyond. And I know that it looks simple, it feels low stakes, but it's quickly becoming one of the most misunderstood, most overlooked parts of the entire LSAT experience. And I want you ideally walking to test day knowing exactly what the LSAT writing sample is, what law schools want, what traps to avoid, and how to write something clear, organized, and persuasive without overthinking or wasting time. LSAC made a major shift a couple of years ago. The writing sample is now argumentative, not descriptive. It's evidence-based, not preference-based, and it's analytical, not reflective. And so the older prep books are outdated. The Reddit threads from 2017 also outdated, and random blog posts explaining the old writing sample are completely irrelevant. The new version focuses on something very simple. Can you read source material, create a clear argument, acknowledge counterarguments, and write like a functional adult? That is it. You don't need literary flair. You don't have to sound like Shakespeare's lawyer, and you don't need to pull a legally blonde Elwood's filibuster. You've just got to show basic argument competence. The LSAT writing sample used to be basically ignored, and schools needed it, but almost nobody read it. But in 2026, it's becoming more important, not because law schools changed, but because you changed. You now have access to artificial intelligence. 10 years ago, the only way to get polished personal statements was to hire a boutique consultant for thousands of dollars. But now, you can clean up your writing using a free chatbot in 3 seconds. And admissions knows this. They are not naive. And so the writing sample is their one chance to see how you organize ideas without help, whether you can build a logical argument, whether your grammar is functional, and whether your writing ability matches your polished application essays. You don't need a masterpiece, but you do need alignment. They're going to be asking, does this sound like the same person who wrote the rest of the application? If the answer is yes, you're good. But if the answer is, there's no way a human wrote this personal statement, the writing sample becomes the red flag. So here's how to succeed on the writing sample. First, you want to be clear and concise. Short sentences, clean syntax, simple vocabulary. You are not trying to impress anybody. You don't want to drop a random 5-syllable word in the wrong context. The second rule is to follow the instructions exactly. LSAC gives you source material, and so you want to use it explicitly. Quote, paraphrase, reference, whatever. Just use the information they provide. Don't bring in outside examples. Don't reinvent the assignment. And don't wander off into your personal story about how college changed your life. You want to stay inside the bounds of what is required. Now, you've also got to address the opposing side without switching sides. And this is the part students misunderstand. Acknowledging counterarguments does not mean arguing both sides, changing your mind halfway, or writing a balanced essay where no one wins. It means stating what the other side believes, explaining why that's reasonable, showing why your side is stronger, and that's it. That is the exact skill you're going to use in law school, weighing arguments and making a clear call. You also want to make a clear thesis and stick with it. You pick a position early, you announce like you mean it, and you stick with it all the way through. Wavering is going to translate as confusion, and lawyers do not waffle. They pick a side and they stick with it. Now let's look at LSAC's official sample prompt, the one about the purpose of college. The prompt gives you several perspectives. One argues that college should prepare students for careers. Another argues for the value of a broad liberal arts education. Another emphasizes societal or civic benefits. Your job is to pick a side and argue it using their material. So let's say you argue the primary purpose of college is to prepare individuals for career success. Here is how you would structure it. Paragraph 1 is your thesis. 2 to 3 sentences. You state your position. You give a quick preview of your reasoning. For example, maybe you say, colleges should primarily prepare students for career success because this aligns education with economic realities and student goals. It's clean, it's direct, with zero fluff. Then in paragraph 2, you make your strongest argument. You use the source material to support your main point. You bring in one piece of evidence or reasoning from LSAC's prompt. Then in paragraph 3, you give your second argument with another reason, another piece of evidence. You're still drawing from the provided perspectives. Then in paragraph 4, You address the opposing view. You acknowledge that the liberal arts perspective has value. Then you explain why it's less compelling given your thesis. For example, while a broad education can produce well-rounded thinkers, the evidence shows that students overwhelmingly expect college to lead to employment, and institutions should meet this primary demand. It's clean, it's respectful, and it's forceful. Then, in paragraph 5, you give a concise conclusion, just a sentence or two where you restate the thesis with no new ideas, no new evidence, no dramatic ending. You just close the loop and you stop. Now, people will ask me, how long should this be? Of course, you are not writing a dissertation. You don't get any extra points for length, and you do not need creative flourishes. Ideal length is 5 paragraphs, 300 words. It's short, it's clean, and it's organized. It should feel like a structured email written by somebody who has a brain. That's all you need. Now, it doesn't have to be perfect. Law schools do not expect perfection. They only expect competence. So you're showing you can follow directions, you can read, you can organize ideas, you can argue a position, you can acknowledge counter-arguments, and you can write in normal functional English. That is it. And at least through June of this year, 2026, this will not be scored. LSAC has said they will score it in the future at some point, but not this cycle. So for now, focus your energy on logical reasoning, reading comprehension, accuracy, pacing, endurance, and review. That is what your actual LSAT score is resting on. And so if the writing sample stresses you out, remember that nobody is expecting genius. They just want to see the real you without AI, without a consultant, the actual human who shows up in their classrooms in a few months. So keep it simple, keep it structured, and keep it human. You've got this, that's it.